Hi, this is James Gordon October Live here with the top 10 worst and best books I read of 2023. So, last year I read a total of 33 novels, which is excellent. I beat my previous record of 23. So now, for this year, in 2024, I have to beat 33. So, back in December, I was, towards the end of last year, I was going through the all my videos and picking out what books I liked and the books I did not like. And it wasn't easy because most of the books I didn't like were horror books, with a few others, but it was mostly horror, and I didn't have actually any good horror books at all. Unfortunately, I had like a few decent ones, but I decided to cut them out because I felt they didn't make it to the top 10, and a few others that I decided to leave out that were either for the worst were either they were not good, but compared to some other ones that were more disappointing. So these are the following these are the following top 10 worst books I read of last year. Okay. We're going to start from 10 to 1. So, number 10 is Nino by Hal Clement. This was a science fiction book I discovered after reading trivia on one of my favorite 80s movies, The Hidden, which I read this on IMDb.com, and it basically talked about a little bit about this book, saying that the book had a similar plot like the film, so that intrigued me, and I went to Valley Village, and me and my dad watched The Hidden, and it just so happened to turn out that I find the needle at Valley Village. I thought, oh, my lucky day. When I read the book, it was very disappointing. I was really just disappointed by it. The plot basically is about this alien bounty hunter known as Hunter hunting I forget what the alien's called in the book. He's chasing this alien. It's never explained why, and they both crash land on Earth. And the hunter alien is like kind of like this green, like almost like jellyfish like alien, and it has the ability to go into other bodies to use them as a host to live and control it. So the hunter alien like body that he uses is destroyed, so he has to find a new one. So basically, he makes the difficult journey through the like bottom of the sea, and then makes his way to like a beach on an island, and rests until he picks the body that he feels will suit him perfectly. He chooses a young boy, of course, and this is just where the story just really just goes downhill at this point. So the alien spends like was it like 6 months learning about the human history through the eyes of this boy until he finally starts doing things, and when he reveals to this kid that hey, you got an alien living inside you, the kid is completely fine with it. He's like completely calm. He's not like freaking out or anything, and he's totally fine with it. And the kid agrees to help the alien find the alien that he's after. And so it's just a lot of reading and not much happens. I'm like, is anything gonna happen in the story? And then when it finally reveals where the alien criminal is hiding, because it can also hide in a human, it can hide in a body too. It's revealed that it's hiding in the body of the kid's father, and the giveaway is that the father has been doing things dangerously that could seriously hurt him or kill him. And I thought that's the big reveal, that it's the alien's hiding inside the father. It's been doing things dangerously. That's the big giveaway, and it took and it and it and yet the 6 months before it did nothing to raise any suspicion. It was a very just disappointing book and very boring. I was just it was I thought the idea was interesting but very boring, so it was not a good book. All right. Number 9, Blake House by Dorian Savage. This is one of the absolute worst horror books I read of last year. It is absolutely terrible. This is a book that is set. I love, when stories are set in like the old era of New York, when it was very like gritty and filthy. That's the era of New York I like. And when I discovered this book, when I discovered Blake House, the cover looked cool, the premise sounded interesting, but when I read it, it was completely different. And the the one thing I strongly felt about Blake House was the author could not decide what plot he should follow, so he kept throwing out each like all these like kept adding all these subplots because he didn't know where the story should go, and just kept throwing in something else after being dissatisfied with the one subplot that he didn't like. And it was not in all these subplots, they don't really feel like they tie in, as it follows like so many subplots that it goes off the rails, becomes a train wreck. The very first subplot that the author tries, which would have been interesting, is that the beginning of the book starts off with this all-female cult that wants to overthrow the dominance of man, and claim the heritage back to the planet of Earth, back to the woman. I thought, okay, so this sounds interesting. But after you read that, subplot, the author throws out the window and never goes back to again, and then follows all these other subplots that don't tie in, and it's like, where the hell is this story going? And to top it off, there's no likable characters. The very first main character you come to know is this perverted psychiatrist or something, and then you got the second character, which is basically this nonfiction female writer, and she's not really that interesting. She's just basically in it for like money and sex, and at one point she is even tempted to betray one of the third character, who's actually like the good character, but he is not really that likable either. And there's no likable characters. The plot is a mess. The only thing the book had going for it was gore, but that's not really enough to save the novel. Is you need a good story. You need like to have a good story. Trying to add in elements of like over the top gore is not going to save it. And the book just got worse and worse, and it had one of the most disgusting sex scenes ever, which nearly made me gag from reading. And overall, it was just an absolute shitty book, and I don't recommend reading Blake House at all. It is absolutely awful. Just avoid it. It's not worth reading. All right, number 8, Dead City by Joe McKennedy. One thing as a reader, I try to find books on zombies, as I feel that it is very difficult subject to find, despite the popularity of zombies. And while I've seen many good zombie films and played zombie video games, but books seem to be the polar opposite. I know The Walking Dead is like one of the biggest well-known zombie comics. I heard that's really good, and another one I'd like to check out is Dead World. I heard that's good too. But anyway, when I discovered Dead City, I thought, oh, finally a zombie book, and it's thick, and it's from the mid 2000s, so it's not so it's old, and I do like older stuff. I thought, ooh, I think I may have found a good zombie novel finally. Unfortunately, it was not good. It the beginning part gets off to a really good start. However, I felt the pacing was a bit too fast in it. Like the character is just constantly moving like way too fast from one area to the other. My big problem with this book is that the entire book is set in Texas, and the main character just uses a pistol throughout the entire of the book. He uses a shotgun, like a few scenes, another weapon, but that's about it. I thought, this is Texas, like one of the states that loves its guns. Where is a scene with a gun store where, or the character goes to the police station and goes to the armory and gets like weapons and stuff? There was none of that in in this book. There was no scenes of the main character retrieving, like, you get shotgun, assault rifle, machine gun, whatever. There's no scenes of that, and one thing that they just constantly kept doing was running zombies over with cars until they broke down, and then would have to travel on foot, get a car, then run more zombies over, then travel on foot again, and just repeat the process. It was not. It was just kind of like it got kind of tiring, and it seemed like there was like really no plot, and I wish that there was a plot, because the character just it was just like wandering around through the city trying to find his wife, who is like she's like hiding out in an apartment building, and for some reason the cell signal keeps cutting out, which the book never explains why it was doing that. And then towards the end, she finally just comes back home, and it's like, where were you? And it's then there's a part where the wife and husband hold each other at gunpoint because they don't think it's them until they realize it is them. I thought, this is stupid. And then it was, and then the ending had a really shitty ending where basically there's a law that's passed that you can't kill a zombie unless it's self-defense. I'm like, this is stupid. Like, there's no way a law like that would get passed. But I just wish the book had a plot where, like, the cop character is trying to help out survivors and stuff, and I even thought it would be interesting if they helped like a news crew that's like trapped somewhere, and they gotta help them get them out, and they got a guy that's actually filming what's going on. That would have been interesting. And it isn't until like later on when they figure out they gotta shoot these zombies in the head, and it isn't until after like one person does that, then they all start kind of doing it, and which makes sense. But as soon as like the one character brings up a zombie movie, they all like know what to do. It's like I kind of would like it if they just didn't mention any other zombie films, because just leave that out. Just make it like, fictional or something. But it was a very disappointing book, and I decided not to bother checking out the other books in the series, as I'm just not interested. I am still keeping my eyes open for a good zombie book. All right. Number 7, The Aquatine Propagation by Robert Ludlum. This number 7 spot, this was a toss-up between Ubik and The Aquatine Propagation, but I decided to go with the Ludlum novel, as that was the most disappointing one. The Ubik had an interesting start, but the later act was not that good. But anyway, this was for some reason the book that I selected. It was my favorite Robert Ludlum book, and then after I read it, I was dumbfounded by why I even picked it as my favorite. While I think the idea of the Aquatine Propagation is interesting, like Rodden really had something juicy on his hands, like a organization that wants to rule the world, and they're going to reshape it in their own image, and these madmen that are hell bent on world domination. With one scene that kind of reminded me a little bit of Watchmen, a little bit, where the guy the guy the mad colonel, like, he's sitting in a wheelchair and he's watching like TV screens of like all chaos happening around the world. I thought it kind of reminded me similar to the one guy in the Watchmen graphic novel. But unfortunately, Robert Ludlum basically has a really juicy idea here, but he drops the ball by having the main character a lawyer is tasked with stopping these guys. I was like, what? You couldn't have like a secret agent, a field agent, an ex-soldier that like anything like, or even the ex-fighter pilot. I would accept that, but no, it's a lawyer character that has to stop these madmen, and the entire book is just drama. That's all it is. It was just nothing but drama most of the time. Just characters just yelling at each other, making Lontus's phone calls. Nothing, hardly anything happens. There's very little action, and the entire book, the entire time I was bored with this. I thought, you gotta be shitting me. You have such a great idea, and this is the best you can come up with? Like, I was really disappointed with the Aquatine Propagation. I was just so bored with it, and I was like, Why did I select this as my favorite book? Like, I think what I really liked about it was the idea of what these madmen are going to do for like this new world order and stuff, and they're going to, destroy pretty much anything they want that stands in their way, and they have like a big army to take on the world. And I thought that's what I really like. But the whole rest of the book is a complete bore, and I was really disappointed. And I was going to follow up with a Robert Ludlum novel that I know is good, but I didn't get around to it. So this year I'm going to do that for sure, as I like to read more books on the channel. But that was just one of the most disappointing books I read, was the Aqua Teen Propagation. Like, this should have been an action book. That's what it should have been, and it could have been so much better. It had Ludlum took gone in the direction that I would have liked to see the Aqua Teen Propagation gone, and that would have been a lot better. But it was unfortunately didn't. All right, number 6, The Patch by Cherokee Paul. This was another disappointing crime. I thought this was going to be like an action book, but instead it's a crime drama, and it was absolutely very boring. So the plot is basically about this ex-Vietnam vet who's now like this tough as nails cop in Florida, and is bumping heads with his superiors on fighting crime and stuff because of his brutal methods. And this leads him to basically become a vigilante by leaving, after like killing criminals, he leaves a police patch for each criminal he kills, and he's like a message to the police, and they're trying to figure out who the vigilante is and stuff. This seems like a really cool idea, but unfortunately it's not. The Arthur, like, in the very beginning of the book, there's a prologue which features the main character. It doesn't say his name, but he does an action which he does later on in the story. Like, oh, I know who this was. So there's no like big grand reveal of who the vigilante is. I thought it was going to be like this, either the book was going to follow the vigilante character or what he does, or make this character a mystery until the very end. But no, the author just blatantly reveals, yeah, this is who the vigilante killer is going to be later on in the story, and then the story itself is it's just really boring. You got this rookie cop that's joining the force, and she's being transferred to different departments, and there's all these subplots on these criminals, and it was just a really boring book, and I thought, this really sucks. I was expecting a lot of action in it, and a lot of violence, which we do get some, but not a lot. So it was a very shitty action book, and I was really annoyed that I found out it was more of a crime drama than an action book. So next time I go to do like Summer Slaughter, make sure my books that match the theme I'm going for. Okay. Oh, yeah. And also, like, the author, uses the term lovemaking. I really hate that term, and he used it constantly throughout the book, which I really hated. And as I said, there's just a lot of drama, characters yelling at each other, and I really just hated that. Alright. Number 5. Video Kill by Joanna Fluke. This was another disappointing horror thriller book. When I discovered this book when I was at Valley Village, it has a really cool title, a cool cover, and the plot sound interesting, but it's very tamed, and I was really disappointed with it. The plot basically starts off as these two screenwriters. They're trying to pitch a new horror thriller film called Video Kill about a guy that kills women, and he records it with a video camera, and then he leaves a copy for the police to find, while the killer keeps a copy for himself. And this movie studio decides to give these guys another chance, as the son who now runs the movie studio wants more control of it, and wants to move away from his father's strict rule back in the past. So he decides, I'm going to give these guys a chance. After that, the author just when it gets to the next chapter, the author blatantly reveals who the killer is, and it does not explain why the killer is doing it, and it's never explained why. And it's kind of like one of those like Giallo films where it has like a very bad explanation why the killer is killing people. But anyway, uh, the first murder scene was okay, but it was okay. Like probably it was the best one. But after that, the killer just does mostly is like strangulation, and that's it. Like there's nothing more shocking as if I was going to be, and then the killer is copying a very well known film director with his murder. So once I figure out who the director was, and I thought, well, this is gonna suck because I know it's not gonna be anything more graphic than I wanted it to be, and the characters themselves were not really that likable. The two screenwriters I kind of found were basically boring. You got one guy who actually is complimenting the killer's handiwork, and then the other guy is like is torn from wanting to finish the script because he feels like his work is being violated, and then at one point in the book, the two screenwriters think that one of them is the killer, and they try to prove this theory to their girlfriends or whatever, and then they find out that no, neither one is the killer, which this scene was really dumb. And my other problem with Video Kill was every character is too cheery, like they're way too happy. It's some like there's parts in the book I find they're just way too happy, and they shouldn't be, and it was just really boring. I thought this really sucks. I thought what interesting idea, but just thrown away with a bunch of unlikable characters, and the plot could have been so much better. Uh, all right, number 4, Spectres of the Dawn by S. Andrew Swan. I picked the only book out of the Moral series I didn't like, and Spectres of the Dawn was my least favorite book in the series. This is the third book in the Moral series, and this follows the character Angela Lopez, who was in the first book, and she makes a cameo appearance in the second one. The third one, the third book basically it's about her. She lives in San Francisco, and she works as a waitress at a cafe, and crime is really getting out of control as you got the humans clashing with the morals, and there's people that just want to live in peace. You got these two sides are trying to start this whole race war, and Angela then meets this British Fox guy that they take a liking to each other, and things are going well, but then suddenly he gets murdered, and she's like heartbroken, and she decides to figure out why her boyfriend was murdered, and this whole book was just not good. It was not good. Like I was really getting tired of the morals versus humans thing. I really kind of like that's in like the first two books. I wish the third book had a completely different plot. Like I wish Andrew Swan like had something else written in instead, and like, continue on with the other two books. I was just getting old reading what these two sides think of each other, and their fight constantly hating each other. I was really getting tired of that. Um, he also brings the aliens back from the previous two books, and again, I was not happy with that. I thought Swan should have really thought of something different for the third book instead of bring this in. And there's all these other characters I don't like. That there was these two cop. Well, there was this one cop character that I did not like, and he's like this treats Angela like shit throughout the book, and then it's revealed. And I was thinking, this guy's got to be the villain. He has to be. Then it's revealed, no, he's the good guy. I was like, what? And then this other cop character who has been nice to Angela is actually helping her. Turns out, oh, he turns out to be a bad guy. I thought, you gotta be shitty, man. Oh, it was just really disappointing. We don't get to see much San Francisco in the future. It goes right back to like Los Angeles, which was featured in I think in no wait first no never mind. It just goes right back to Los Angeles and is like no, it doesn't really show much. And I was kind of more interested in keeping the book in San Francisco, and and towards the end, Angela's thinking of going to Toronto, which I really would like to see what the what in the moral universe what a futuristic Toronto looks like, but it doesn't go. It doesn't go. She doesn't go there, and instead the ending goes this completely different direction. It just ends. It just ends abruptly. I'm like, what the hell just happened? And it's like, what happened? Like, you can't end it like this. So that was the only disappointing book in the moral series I read. But the other three, the 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 first and second and fourth book were definitely the better ones in that series, though. So that's good. All right, the top three now. Number three, The Drawing of the Three by Stephen King. This was tough trying to pick which Dark Tower book I was going to choose, as I was not going to let any of these Dark Tower books slide. And it was not easy. It was a real toss-up between the first one, like Gunslinger, The Wizard's Glass, and the fifth one, what was it called, which is a complete fucking mess. But I decided to go with the second one, Drawing Three, because this is for the fact that it took King 5 years to come up with a sequel, and when he did, this was like the absolute worst sequel he came up with. So, The Drawing the Three starts off after the events of the Gunslinger, where the main character Roland wakes up on a beach after chasing the Man in Black. When he wakes up on the beach, he sees this lobster monstrosity, as they're called, or as I just prefer to call them, lobster monsters, comes out of the water, and Roland, for some reason, thinks he's dreaming or something until the thing snips off his toe, and he realizes, oh shit, this thing's actually real. For some reason, he tries to crawl away rather than get up and run, or draw his guns and shoot the damn thing. No, he tries crawling away, and then it cuts off two of his fingers on his right hand, and then he basically stomps this lobster monster to death. I was like, wow, what a way to start off your story, Kate. You might as well have the lobster snip his dick off at this point. But so then the character has to treat his wounds and then limp down a beach for miles on end until he finds a door. And he has to find a person that has a demon named Heroin. So it's like, okay, I'm thinking, all right, so he's going to go into another world and he's going to have to search for this character. Well, in this alternate reality, things are going to be off, like people are going to look like strange looking, or there's going to be like creatures and stuff, or the world's going to be very just, like the whole reality of the alternate world is off, right? No. Instead, when Roland goes into the door, he's inside the person. He's inside the person's mind, so he doesn't have to even look hard to find it. He's inside their mind, and he can see the world through their eyes, and he can control them a little bit by he can take control of them. He can make them say things, and he can gain food by making them eat. And then the character he has to help is this, at first he has to help Eddie, this junkie, and he has to help him hide his stash of drugs so he can get paid, and this doesn't go to plan, of course, and then Roland is able to easily just enter through Eddie's world by just simply going through a mirror, and then they get into the shootout, and Roland's guns don't even work, and it's like, why are you making the character useless? Have Roland display his shooting skills. This is stupid. Even after that's all done, and then Roland gets Eddie into Roland's world after treating his wounds, they then have to walk miles down a beach again till they come upon another door and repeat the process all over again, and have to help out this civil rights activist character, Odetta Holmes, and she has split personality. She basically has a alter ego that she's unaware of after a person tried to kill her by throwing her onto the subway, and that's how she lost her legs. And Roland has to basically figure out who tried to kill her and then prevent this alter ego from existing for some reason, because this is how they move further on. And at the same time, Roland decides to alter the course of history for Jake Chambers and basically save his life. But by doing this, this causes another thing to happen, and because after they get the Holmes character into their world, they gotta walk down the goddamn beach again for miles to find another fucking door. It was the stupidest thing I've ever read. And the Holmes character talked like a cartoon character. She just said some of the most annoying things ever, and she says one of the most cringiest lines I have ever read. This is similar to the cringy line in the Death Race remake. Um, there's this part where Holmes is just complaining, and Eddie and Roland are trying to keep her happy, and she's miserable. So Holmes literally says this line in the book: "Why don't you two suck the shit through my asshole?" I was like, "What the fuck did I just read?" It was just the most cringiest line I've ever read. And yes, she does say that, it's in the book. I'm not making this line up. Oh, it was just fucking annoying just to read her line of dialogue, and then the whole thing of going through another door again. It was like, seriously, King, this is the best idea you could come up with for this sequel of yours after 5 years? Really? And I even said it in my review. It it would have. Oh yeah, and what's their only food source on this beach? Oh, the lobsters, of course. That's the only food source they can get, and they have to kill these damn things. And I'm like, Roland just seems to have like an infinite supply of ammo on him all the time. And it's like, that's the one thing I'm trying to figure out. I was like, okay, how the hell are you killing these things? Like, is Eddie doing all the killing, or are you like beating the shit out of these like lobster things with like big sticks or something? It's never explained. Oh, but I thought what would have been a better book is that Roland wakes up on the beach, and then there's like this like building that he finds, and he goes in, and there's like a key there, and he picks the key up, and it goes, and there's the door that he has to go through, and he has to step into the world and actually find the person with the demon named Heroin, and then he has to go through this altered reality and stuff. And once he finds them, the two come out, and then there's another key, and then they go through that door, and it would that made it so much interesting and stuff. But no, this is basically King's best idea. Character wakes up, gets attacked by a lobster monster, nearly dies, has to walk miles down the beach till he comes upon a door, steps inside, he's in, the person that he has to find has to help them hide their drug stash, and then bring that person through, and then the two of them have to travel down the beach for miles on end until they come upon another door. It was just stupid. It just absolutely the worst sequel in the Dark Tower series, and then the only decent one was the Wastelands, but then after that, King just drops the ball with Wizard and Glass, and oh man, and fucking Wolves of Kala was a complete mess. Ugh. As I said, this was not easy picking the worst, which Dark Tower book was the worst, but I decided to go with the second one as the worst one. The fifth one was a close tenor though, along with Wizard and Glass. Okay, number 2, Firestarter by Stephen King. This was a reread. I tried Firestar years ago. I didn't get far in it, and I decided to give this book another try. Uh, while the beginning part it gets off to an interesting start, but there's a lot of backtracking, and I'm not really a huge fan of that. I wish King would have just told the story forward, like had like the flashback scenes in the beginning instead, and then we work our way to the present. That would have been a lot better. Um, but even after Game for All that, the whole book, the whole plot of Firestar is absolutely boring. You got the main character, Andrew, who uses his ability called the Push, which is basically the cheap version of the Force. He has to say things out loud to use his ability, which I thought was really kind of silly. It's like using, like, if that would be me, if I that would be like me if I was out somewhere, and I want to make someone do something, I had to say it out loud. Like, everyone could hear me, and they'll know who. And if people saw the person doing something, then they're like, that guy did it. He told the person to do it. Like I thought it would be better. Like, can like Andrew, like or Andy, whatever his name is, just say it in his mind. Like, that would have been better. And I wish he had like he could create like illusions and stuff, like he fools a cab driver to take them to the airport or something by making a dollar bill look like it's something else, but it's not. But I just wish like Annie had more interesting powers. But the worst I felt was what King did to Charlie, the girl that can set things on fire, with the pyrokinetic powers and stuff. I really felt that Kane was really limiting this character and holding her back from her full potential. Like, I felt Charlie could have done so much more if King made her like a teenage girl instead of this whiny 7-year-old girl, which was absolutely annoying to read scenes of her whining, crying. It's like, oh, shut up. And you don't get to see Charlie display her powers that much because King doesn't allow her to do so. It's like, come on, King, you got an interesting idea here. You got like people with powers. The government is trying to use them as weapons, and they're trying to capture them. And you got this like agency known as the Shop, and they'll do whatever it takes to get these mutants. That's like a good idea right there, but the whole rest of the book was just boring. Like, hardly anything happens. It's a lot of just drama, just characters yelling, complaining, and doing nothing, and very little moments of action, which could have had so much more. And then you got the most useless villain ever. You got this Colonel James guy who basically is trying to is like hell-bent on capturing Charlie so badly he'll do whatever it takes, even if it means the lives of his agents and stuff. And when one of the missions goes wrong, he sends in John Rainbird, this Vietnam vet Indian guy, to go after them. But John Rainbird wants to know what it'd be like to kill a child, and chooses Charlie as some sort of challenge, and convinces Colonel James to go along with this. What kind of colonel goes along with this? Like, the whole point is to capture Charlie to use her weapon. What good at her if she's dead? Like, it was so stupid, and I was like, why is King adding this into the story? And then the absolute fucking worst is this blackout scene where after Charlie and Annie get captured, they're held prisoner for 6 goddamn months, and they do nothing with them, and they're in this prison, and then the power goes out, and I'm thinking, okay, is Charlie going to use her powers to escape and help her, like, get out of her jail cell and help free her father and maybe some other prisoners too? No, King doesn't go there. And what does King do instead? He has John Rainbird disguised as a janitor to gain Charlie's trust, and then Andy watches TV hours on end until he regains his push power. This is stupid. And the ending is absolutely just complete bullshit. It was just a stupid ending. The book sucked. And it's like 400 pages, and nothing happens in this book. It is just drama. That's all it is. Like, this sucks. And as I said in my review, what was really unfortunate was that John Carpenter was supposed to direct Firestarter after the release of The Thing. But because The Thing bombed, the studio decided to get a different director to direct Firestarter instead of having Carpenter do it. And what could have been a way better movie if Carpenter was to direct that. I bet his version would have had a lot more action. The character would have been a teenage girl instead of a whiny 7-year-old girl, and the father probably would have some more interesting powers and stuff. And like, he could just move stuff and make things happen within his mind. He wouldn't have to be like, you don't need to see his identification like that. If only The Thing was released like in October instead of the summer, it probably would have done a lot better. Or if ET, it's not Carpenter's fault that they released the film like the same time that ET came out, came out a few days later or something. But it's just, if that film didn't interfere with The Thing, or if The Thing was released another day in another month, the Firestar film could have been so much better. It just would, what could have been. And then they made a remake of the Firestar, and they didn't change anything. They just followed the same fucking stupid plot again. Like, it's fucking pointless. Oh. And the number one worst book I read of last year, American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis. This was a reread as I tried American Psycho years ago, and I gave up on it because I found it so boring. The author just word vomits, or as another person commented on it, said word diarrheas over the entire book, which I agree. Just like overuse of detail, which a lot of it is unnecessary, and even after you get through all that. Oh, the book is so hard to read through. The main character is this complete racist bigot who is an unlikable asshole, and the things he does are just some of the most the most despicable things he does. Like reading the scenes of animal cruelty is absolutely awful, and the way Patrick Bateman brutalizes women is absolutely awful, and it's like, oh, I hate this character so much. I want something to happen to him. I was kind of really hoping that, at the end, a homeless person would kill him or a gay guy would kill him. That would be great, but that unfortunately doesn't happen. And there was but there was a part in the book where it stops, where Brent stops telling unnecessary detail and starts to tell a plot of the story, which it started to get a little better, but that doesn't last long, unfortunately. And then there's one scene I was really annoyed where Brent teases the reader where Patrick Bateman is going to go on this mass shooting spree in New York, and he's got an Uzi and a Ruger Mini 14. It's like, ooh, I'm looking forward to seeing this. But no, what does he do? Instead, he just shoots a few people with a silenced revolver, and that's it. I thought, this sucks. And after I read the book, I wanted to throw this thing across my room as I fucking hated American Psycho. The times that what the things the character does made my blood boil, made me want to chuck the book across the room because I fucking hated it. Oh, and the film was not good either. Kind of a difficult, kind of a difficult adaptation to make into a film, if you ask me. But one director might have made something interesting. David Cronenberg was going to do a Temptation American Psycho with Brad Pitt, and his version would have focused more on the violence and cut out all the restaurant, club, and bar scenes, which would have been great. But unfortunately, Brent had tight control over the screenplay, and I guess David Cronenberg wasn't allowed to write his own screenplay, so Brent wrote one, and Cronenberg hated it, so then Brent got someone else to write another one, and Cronenberg said that one was even worse than Brent's, and then just left the project. I thought, oh, again, what could have been probably a better film, but unfortunately, unfortunately didn't happen. So those are the top 10 worst books I read. Now, onto the top 10 best books I read last year. Number 10, Gone South by Robert R. McCannon. This is one of his 90s books that I read of last year, and I now have to check out his other well-known 90s book, A Boy's Life. But anyway, during the 90s, Robert Cannon was trying some different things as he was starting to move away from horror, and after writing a very good psychological thriller, Mine, which I definitely review on the channel, he then published Gone South, which is kind of like a road thriller novel, and it did have some action in it, but this was a very interesting story. You got a character who has reached his breaking point and is also dying and is trying to just basically find work and just make a living. That's all he wants to do. And after he's unable to get a pay off a loan, and for another day he has to he's told to surrender his truck, which he refuses, which leads into a fight with the guy that runs this loan thing, and him just snapping, and then this leads into this big brawl, and then him accidentally killing the guy. Well, the guy actually tried to kill him, and he shot him by accident. This forces him to go on the run, and he's this wanted man, and then we follow this bounty hunter that's assigned to try to capture the main character, and this is where it kind of started to go a little downhill for me. I thought, okay, we got a kind of a very ruthless and arrogant bounty hunter, but unfortunately his side character sidekicks that help him are not really that good. You got his brother that would disappear and reappear throughout the book, and I was like, where's the guy's brother? Like seriously, like where is he? When he does show up, he doesn't do anything but carry stuff and doesn't say anything. And then, but the worst I felt was this Elvis impersonator character, which I thought when I first read this, I thought, don't tell me Robert Kennedy is going to try adding comedy into this story because I don't want that. I don't want this to become funny. I want this to be serious. But he doesn't go that route. But it was not fun reading this Elvis character. Like it just felt out of place in this story, and during one point, the main character has to help this woman find this woman that has powers that can heal people and stuff. And I thought, is this book gonna go like a supernatural route too? Which would have been interesting if it did, but it doesn't. So the book was okay, but it had some things I didn't like with it. I didn't like the fact that after like this bounty hunter character nearly kills the main character and this woman of like several times, captures them. They of course get captured by a group of drug smugglers for after like stepping in something like basically being in the wrong place, wrong time sort of situation. What does the main character do? Rather than say, fuck those guys, I'm gonna use this opportunity to get the hell out of here. No, what does he do? He goes to rescue them because, oh, they're just doing their job. Really, you're gonna be that guy? So it had a like Gone South had its moments, but it had some things I didn't like with it. It was an overall decent thriller book. It could have been better, but it was all right. Just it did have a good ending, so I'm fine with that. But it could have been so much better. All right, number 9, The Crow by James O'Barr. This is the second graphic novel I read on the channel, and it was a reread, and I enjoyed it. It was a very well illustrated graphic novel. The artwork is very beautiful. It's bleak, dark, violent, but it does have some rare moments of beauty within this dark world. And while the story I felt could have been a lot better, I felt the characters could have been fleshed out a lot better and stuff. But overall, The Crow was a very beautiful and very well illustrated graphic novel. It did have a few moments that did make me laugh, like some dark humor in it, and it was of course made into a really good, excellent film with Brandon Lee. So yeah, so for number 9 is The Crow for me. All right, number 8, Temple by Matthew Rarely. This was a reread. I read this book a very long time ago, and holy shit, it is a blast. That book. It is just non-stop, over-the-top action, and if you're a fan of the video game Far Cry, then this book is right up your alley because it has that. You're in a tropical setting. You got like just lots of like bad guys and stuff, and lots of guns, and just shooting the absolute shit out through this jungle and stuff. It is just a lot of fun. You got a lot of action fight scenes, a lot of creative kills, and some one-liners and stuff. And it was a really good book. It had a lot of characters. It followed like characters I like, characters I didn't like, and however, the one thing I felt that I didn't like, I felt the plot was just a little too extreme. Like the U.S. government wants to capture this thing so they could use it to create a supernova, a weapon that basically, if the United States should get taken over by a foreign power, they would rather just blow up the whole world and kill everyone rather than be taken over. I thought, okay, that's a little too excessive if you ask me. Just way too extreme. Like it. I kind of wish that they had a different plot instead. Like maybe it's like like a super energy that could be used to create like a powerful weapon or something like that. But I just felt that was a little too extreme. Just like come on, have these soldier guys not seen the film Red Dawn? Like just form a resistance group and fight the foreign enemy that's invaded your country. That's all you have to do. You don't have to blow up the whole world. It's just a little excessive, very too excessive if you ask me. But anyway, and I'll definitely be reading more Matthew Wright books on the channel. Okay. Number 7, No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy. This was another reread on the chat for me for this book, and it was a excellent crime thriller novel, very well written. I actually kind of find the book better than the film, even though the film has parts I do like in it, but the book had parts I didn't like in it as well. This was a very well written, dark book. I read it after I saw the movie, and it was a really good book. I really like the character of Anton Chigurh, just this ruthless hitman that is just brutal with his methods, and I like the fact that he's got this bolt gun and he uses it to pop the lock off doors to get into places, and at one point he uses it to kill a person in the beginning of the book, and it's it's like holy shit! I have never seen a character like this before, and I kind of wish more authors would do more characters like this. He really brought something like McCarthy really brought something different to the table with this book. Um, Moss, Moss, the main character, he was interesting, and we follow him trying to basically trying to bring back this money that he stole, and well, these Mexican cartel guys are after it, and you got Anton Chigurh that's been hired to get the money back, and it was just a really interesting story. I didn't mind the sheriff character. I did find like the part where he's talking about like his history as a police officer. I found those segments a little boring. I just skipped them and just read mostly the story of the main plot. The ending it ends in a way you don't expect it to end, and um, but it's overall it was still a good novel, and I definitely highly enjoyed No Country for Old Men. My only complaint with it was that while it was highly detailed in scenery and violence, my one problem with No Country for Men was that McCarthy doesn't use quotation marks, and he kind of blends his sentences into scenery, so it's kind of a little bit messy at times. I wish he would have fixed that. And I found it weird. Like, I have never heard of an offer that doesn't use quotation marks. That is something, as all writers are taught to do, and McCarthy is like one of those few I know that doesn't do it. But overall, it's still a good book. Okay, no, okay. Number 6, A History of Violence by John Wrangler. This, believe it or not, is the most popular graphic novel review I've read so far on the channel. It is getting the most views out of over The Crow, which I was expecting The Crow to get more views than History of Violence, but History of Violence got way more views unexpectedly, and it's still going higher. So I was like, well, okay, I didn't expect this, but it was a very excellent graphic novel. It is John like the story like basically follows a father who basically is trying to live a normal life and is trying to put his past behind him after him and his friend robbed this mob boss to get money so he can help his grandmother with heart surgery while his friend Eddie wanted to get revenge for the death of his brother. And unfortunately, well, they were able to pull off the robbery. However, things go bad when the mob boss tracks down Eddie and then finds the main character, and then has a nearly gets killed from him in an alleyway, but is able to escape. The father is basically just runs a cafe in this quiet town, and these robbers show up and they try to rob him, and he basically fights back and becomes a town hero, which brings unwanted media attention to him, and which brings the attention of the mob boss who tracks him down. And the rest of the graphic novel is it is so good. Like, it's got just brutal violence in the book, and just like the one thing I really like with the story is that the main character, he knows how to kill people, so he doesn't waste time to kill someone. He'll put someone down quickly. He doesn't waste time, and it had like a lot of some really good creative kills. And one of my favorite parts in it is when towards the end of the graphic novel is when he shoves some guy's arm. When they're going down an elevator, and it reminded me of the scene for Total Recall where Arnold um, puts Michael Ironside over an elevator. His arms just get torn off through the elevator shaft, and I was like, "Oh, that was good." And it has like this brutal fight with this other mob boss who's like even more insane than the other one, and it was just like, Oh my goodness, it is so over top and just so much fun. And there was no filler, which I liked because the film of the same name added all this stupid filler with the son getting picked at school, the wife arguing with the husband about his past life, and the family not having mistrust with the father. It's like, why add all this shit in the story? I don't want this. And oh, I didn't like that. The graphic novel doesn't have any of that. It just gets straight to the point. And oh yeah, it's just overall a good story. I've actually felt the graphic novel actually had a better story than the film, as they changed too much around with it. But overall, it was an excellent graphic novel. The only complaint I have with it was that I felt some of the illustrations could have been drawn better. But overall, it was still an excellent graphic novel, and I definitely will be doing more this year. Okay. Number 5, Battlefield Earth by L. Ron Hubbard. This was the surprise book that I read of last year. I wasn't sure if I was really going to enjoy this book or not, because for years I've been told the book was terrible, and the film was even worse, so I avoided it. But the book started to pop up frequently, like in Facebook groups and stuff, and I was starting to see copies appear at Value Village and all those other bookstores, and I was like, is it really that bad as everyone claims it to be? So one day I decided, oh, what the hell, I'm going to get this book and see if it's actually good or not. And to my amazement, it was actually a lot of fun. It was very entertaining. Yes, it had its flaws, but it was still a highly entertaining book, and I was actually surprised how much I enjoyed it. Basically, it's about these 10 foot tall, no, 9 foot tall aliens known as the Cyclos, and this one Trinell is like head of like the security, and basically he's tasked with mining for gold on Earth. And however, he has his own plans. He wants to overthrow the guy that's running it, and he decides he's gonna bump this guy off, and he's gonna run the mine operation himself, and he's gonna make himself set himself up to be a billionaire, basically. And he plans to use humans to mine for gold because it'll be a cheaper alternative, as it's very risky for the aliens for themselves to mine for gold, because apparently because they have to breathe gas, and apparently the gas has a negative reaction to uranium. So then we follow Johnny Good Boy Taylor, or it's just Johnny, who basically leaves his village after the death of his father and decides to explore the world he's never seen before. And there's a lot of like interesting scenes of like the forests in Colorado, and then the ruins in Denver, and then there's the action scene where Johnny's being chased by Trinell, and and when he captures him, the alien teaches him how to speak the alien language and stuff, and how to use machines and stuff. And then Johnny then figures out what this alien is trying to do, so he outsmarts him, and this leads to him, the alien having to they said, okay, now we're gonna get more people, and Johnny convinces Trinell that, oh, here, I'll do this work for you. I'll get the people for us. And he basically turns the tables on Trinell later on in the book, which was an excellent scene, and he gets all these other people from Scotland and stuff, and they basically begin mining in like the Rocky Mountains and stuff, and I really enjoyed that scene and stuff. And then we get like the revolt with the humans and stuff. It was just a lot of action, a lot of fun, and the book did explain a lot of things, like the Cyclos, despite their height and superior weaponry, they're not actually that invincible as they like to think they are. They are in fact very easy to kill, and then it's revealed that the reason why the human race lost to them is because they basically essentially opened a portal from their world, which is like a gas giant, and release their gas onto the environment on Earth to basically to kill half the population on Earth, to weaken the human race, so that way make it easier for them to invade Earth. So I thought, okay, that explains that part. Um, there were things I didn't like with the book. Like there was this subplot with this other human character who wants to take over the world for himself and defeat Johnny, which I really didn't like this character at all. And the alien has to actually help Johnny kill this other character, because if he doesn't, he'll blow them all up at one point in this book. And I was like, I really did not like that scene, and he wants to have currency with his face on it, and I was like, this is just not, this is dumb. And then then it had this other subplots of like these alien investment bankers want to charge the human race for unpaid debt, and you got these other alien races that want to try to claim Earth as well. Of another some Chinese overlord wants to rule the world or something too, and I was like, these scenes could have been cut out. It just could have made the book a lot shorter than it didn't have to be. But overall, Battlefield Earth was an excellent read, and I'm glad I replaced that paperback with a nice hardcover edition. All right. Okay. Number 4, Concrete Island by J.B. Ballard. This was a reread. I tried this book a long time ago, and I didn't get far in it, so when I gave the book another try, I really enjoyed it. This was a really good book. The plot basically follows the main character basically is on the highway. He loses control of his Jaguar and goes off the highway and crash lands in this in this what he calls the concrete island. And basically he discovers under the highway overpass there's like all these wrecked vehicles, and he finds like a fallout shelter, and then there's like this woman that lives there with this old man, and they try to stay alive while living in the concrete island stuff. It was a very interesting book. It is short, but overall I really enjoyed it, and definitely will be reading more J.B. Ballard novels on the channel. Alright, number 3, Forest of the Night by S. Andrew Swan. I was trying to decide which book out of the Moral series to pick. The ones that I enjoyed, is there were 3 books that I liked. There was the first one, the second one, and the fourth one, which was really good, but I decided to go with the one that's always been my favorite, is the first one, Forest of the Night. This is a very good like interesting blend of like science fiction, cyberpunk, and like crime and action in this like dystopian world of like Cleveland, Ohio. And it's just like you got like these gangs, you got corruption in politics, and you got just like these like cool futuristic weapons and stuff. And it was, when I was reading this book, it made me think of movies like RoboCop, Demolition Man, Total Recall, and even the video game Deus Ex. It reminded me too, with animal people in it. And the main character follows Nohar Rajar, this private like this tiger guy that basically works as a private eye and basically gets hired to figure out who killed this guy for this company, and gets involved in this whole conspiracy. And it was a really good book, and I really enjoyed it. There wasn't really much anything negative I didn't like with it. I just overall enjoyed it. The second book, Emperors of the Twilight, was an excellent sequel, and the last book, The Return of Nohar Rajar, was a really good book too in the series. So, Forest Night is my number 3. Okay. Number 2, Red Eye by Richard Allen. That was the first book I started the channel off back in last year, and it was also a reread. I tried Red Eye, and I did not get far in it because I was confused at the part I read it, because it didn't match what the synopsis said. And I was like, what? And I gave the book up, and then I started thinking about that book again, and I finally got it back after I realized that was just a dream sequence. I had a moment where I just basically face palmed myself. I was like, oh. But anyway, I got the book, I read it again, and holy shit, it was awesome. Red Eye basically follows the plot of this journalist who writes on the side, and his stories are based on his dreams he has of like these murders. That's what he turns to get these nasty, violent dreams out of his mind. He turns them into story ideas, and he has had some success as a writer while working as a journalist in Washington. However, his latest story has brought brought the attention of the CIA, who want to interview him. And when he goes to meet with these CIA agents, they reveal to him that this murder that he wrote in his story is identical to a murder that actually happened, and then they've gone through some of his other stories, and they're linked to other murders that have happened. And they want to know how he's able to see these murders before they happen. And he basically explains that they're from dreams he's had. So the two CIA agents aren't sure what to make of this, but another agent who specializes in hypnosis just suggests that she can hypnotize him to remember more than what he can remember. So he agrees to do this, and he makes a shocking discovery that he in fact has a brother, and his brother is the one who is the one committing these murders. And as it's revealed that he had a twin brother, which his mother gave up to save him, and the brother grew up to was orphaned during the end of World War II and was wounded by German police or something, and was rescued by a KGB agent, which became his handler. And the brother is absolutely ruthless in the book, and he's basically been hired by his handler to prevent the Russians from handing over this technology. Basically, it's like this satellite that shoots like this kind of like EMP, almost like not radio waves or like a laser beam, but it sends this like electronic like shockwave that fries like armies and stuff. And the reason why the Russians are doing this is the peace treaty to keep the two sides from clashing with each other, so they don't have to use nuclear arms. So the brother Carl, basically his handler wants him to prevent this deal from being made, and wants him to assassinate the Russian president that's going to hand over this hand over the documents of this weapon to the Americans, and to make it look like that a patriot American person was the one who assassinated the Russian president. And goes through this like great detail on how he's gonna pull this mission off and stuff. And it's kind of similar to like Day of the Jackal, where Carl is ruthless and is planning every detail of his plan out carefully, so he doesn't get caught. Unfortunately, Carl's brother intervenes, and Carl is actually shocked that he discovers he has a brother, and the two kind of form a little bit of a friendship. But unfortunately, what breaks that friendship is when Carl's brother reveals that basically he knows what he's doing, and basically tells him not to kill anyone. But Carl is not going to take orders from his brother, and basically tries to get rid of his brother, and actually use his decides to disguise himself as his brother to go with his plan. Unfortunately, this doesn't work, as Carl's brother is able to break free from his holding cell in Berlin, and basically has to go after Carl, which was a very excellent book and had a lot of moments that kept me on my seat. It was a really good book. All right, and for number one for the best book I read of last year, Summer Sparks by Pixel Chaser. I was really trying to decide what the number one book should be, and I decided, you know what, um, I'm decided I'm going to make it a furry romance book as number one. So I gone with Summer Sparks, the gay furry romance book, which I got at the Furry Convention last year, and it was just a lot of fun. It was just a lot of fun reading this book, and the sex scenes were the absolute best. So the book follows this Fox character who's just coming back from college, and he's like summer break, and he's visiting family, and he just went through a breakup, and he's looking to hook up with someone new. And it just so happens that his neighbor has moved out, and a new neighbor has moved in, and it turns out his neighbor is this muscular husky, and he takes a real liking to this guy. And as along to the two of them meet each other, and it turns out they're both they're both into electronics, computers, and d- um, like doing computer work and electronic work and stuff like that. And the neighbor is basically trying to make this electric van so he can go camping with it, and he helps him. And as the story progresses, he's like the Fox character is getting more and more closer with the Husky character, and he's trying to work up the courage to ask him out and stuff. And it was just a really good book. It was really good. I felt like the only things I felt with it was a little too short. I wish it was a little longer, and I wish the author went in more detail with the characters, because there's times where he'll mention other characters, but he doesn't say what animal race they are. So I was like, okay, what does this character look like? But overall, it was a really good book. It was very eco-friendly, which was a bit of a surprise, but I still overall enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to reading more books by this author, Pixel Chaser, as he said he's already working on another novel, so I'm looking forward to reading what that book is. Alright, that is it for the video today. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll definitely be doing this again for next year, for the best and worst books I've read, for the worst and best books I've read of 2024. So, uh, uh, so if you enjoyed this video, please like it, and please don't forget to subscribe to October Library, the YouTube channel, and the Facebook group of the same name, a place to push and review fiction. Until then, I'll catch you later.